Are we live? Welcome everyone to the Mike Rosehart Show, previously known as the Wisewell Show. We are going to try and record this show. I'm going to try and record it with my other cameras here and play clips where I answer some of your best questions on how to finance real estate properties, how do you evict tenants, how do you buy real estate, how do you get started investing in real estate, how do you build wealth, personal finance questions, fire questions, 4% safe withdrawal questions, whatever the questions are, we're going to answer them here live. I'm gonna make sure that the stream is going here.
It's going.
It's live?
It's live.
Boom. Okay. Hey, we are live. Okay, I can see it and the thing is live. Oh, Mike just jumped in and said, let's go. Okay, we should do a share. We will do a share on Facebook. Sorry I'm running a few minutes late. Just filmed a video on the secret equation to building wealth. So how anyone can save $1 million in 1 year. It's crazy. It's gonna blow people's minds that it's so shockingly simple. We're talking a bit about I'm not gonna spoil the video for you. And I'm also gonna drop another video you're gonna like on an economics professor talking about socialism and why capitalism, socialism, how it all works, and why maybe might be a little bit of a political hot topic, but I'm gonna try the video out and see how it goes. We've got brand new audio, which is cool. It's new Rode mic. I think really cool. Kyle's so far we've been testing it and it's working great. So yeah. You'd share that on my wall, Kyle. That'd be great. Share this link. I should probably share this link on my main channel. That'd be cool. How do I do that? Who wants to sit here and jump? By the way, throw some questions in the comments, guys. Think of some really well thought out questions investing in real estate. I'm going to try and, I think this camera is actually, we're going to record this, right? The audio is going right into that camera. We're going to use it for footage.
It's going into the live.
It's being captured though for future videos, right? So
yeah.
At the end of the day, we can use all this. So I think if we do use all this, we could say like, here's a video on how to finance real estate. And I can take like a 10-minute clip in super high quality and basically make that into a YouTube video. So that'll be kind of cool to do on the main channel. But let me just do a quick search, a quick share here. How do I find a link to this? I got to switch channels. This is more like a behind the scenes, guys. You get to see this is, for the last couple hours we've been working on YouTube stuff. This is like literally what we do. Hey, William, good to see you on. Jordan, good to see you on. Tiger Rocks, good to see you guys on. All of the regulars, sorry I'm a few minutes late. I was filming a video and I wanted to get finished what I was working on. Okay. Cool. I'm on the right channel now. There we go. Share, copy, save to playlist. There we go. Now switch over to the other channel and share it there. Switch back over, do a post. Hey Eric, good to see you on. Hey everyone, just kind of drop in any questions you have. I'll update you guys on it in a second about what's been going on in my life. What are some of the things that have been changing in my life. Got some really cool stuff I'm working on. As always, every week's a new week. We're trying different adventures. I've been focusing on my health a lot more, if you guys can see, but I've been trying to go to the gym more and get those muscles pumping. But yeah, I've been focusing on my health and doing a lot of walking. I walked 16 kilometers in 1 day, which is like 8 or 9 miles, I think. Maybe 10 miles. I don't know how the conversion works. 2 to 1 roughly. But yeah, drop the questions in. And if we got a really juicy question, I'm hoping we do, and I get on a tangent, we might have some really solid gold for the main channel. So every Wednesday on the main channel, my plan is to effectively drop a video that's refined out of the Wisewell Show. So you guys ask one good question that I like a lot, and maybe I give a really good tangent, and that becomes a really good basis for a video. We drop that every Wednesday at noon on the main channel, and then Saturday at noon for the regular uploads. So we'll have 2 uploads in the main channel, hopefully, and then we'll just use this channel as the behind the scenes, where you guys get to interact with me live. Maybe I'll even just pop this on and go live mid-stream. Maybe mid when I'm doing a film or whatever, I'm at a property, something like that. So yeah, I've been dealing with a lot of stuff with that. My wife is like 37 weeks pregnant, so baby number 2 coming any day now. So that's a lot going on with that. So that's getting ready for that mentally and physically. Fighting a cold because like that, because my daughter brings it home from the preschool. Anyway, I'm gonna do a quick share here. How do I do a community post? Here we go. Do you guys follow the community post on the main channel? I've been trying to use that new thing. I can just do like posts, which is cool. Go behind the scenes. There, I made a post. Now, do I have a picture I can use? I don't even have any good pictures I can use. Oh, look, some questions are popping up. Good, good. Good to see you guys all on. Jump in the comments if you're just jumping into the stream now, and we'll chat about whatever it is you guys want to chat about. I don't have any good pictures here for a post, but I'll pick something. How about this one? There. Posting. If anyone's still watching, just posted a link to, I think, this stream. Let's check it. Oh, that's weird. I'm in my own stream. Okay, I'm getting out of it. Okay. Hey, everyone. Back to, the live stream. Eric, good to see you on as well. Tiger Rock says, hey, Mike, did you ever consider becoming a mortgage broker, either before or recently? Yeah, I've considered it. Sure, I've thought about it. I am a real estate agent right now, so I kind of already have that part down for the buying and selling transactions. I'm actually working on a deal right now. It's an interesting little deal here in London, Ontario, on MLS actually. So there are a couple of deals that are popping up on MLS now. Things are starting to slow down a little bit. You get some of those more derelict type buildings that need a little bit of work. Those ones are great. Kyle, I have a question for you. Which of these two cameras should I be looking at if I want for the main channel? If I want to answer a question. Just this one, right?
Either or, really.
They're both recording, so it should be fine. Okay. Yeah, so but the audio is going into that one?
The audio is going into this.
Into that there.
And then into the live stream.
Okay. Very cool. You see this? It's kind of cool. Broad mic. But I'm also mic'd up here. Okay. This shirt is quite stretched out with that. It's getting a show pretty much. So Tiger, to answer your question, it's it kind of depends on the individual. For me, I just didn't have an interest in basically trying to get people approved for mortgages. It is one of my skills, though. I am fairly good at getting mortgages approved and putting together underwriting files. It's just not been something I've been interested in. Taking on another career is just too much. I already have enough on my plate. So despite how good the money could be and all that kind of stuff, just no interest. I've worked with a lot of great brokerages, and they've been able to get me good mortgage terms. Same with a lot of big banks and credit unions. So no, I just haven't had a need. Okay, so William says, Mike, ever have to deal with fire or flood? How to best mitigate these risks? So, sorry. Fire and flood. Never dealt with a fire, knock on wood. Never. I have dealt with flooding, like a little bit of flooding in a basement. I got some videos on my YouTube channel way back. No, I don't have those on the YouTube channel. Maybe on my Facebook I have some videos from a couple years ago when I had basement. I had one video on the YouTube channel where there was water, I think we put up. Way back. Go to my main channel. There's one video where I had a basement that had a bunch of water in it. In one circumstance, we had a tub resurfaced, and the chemical they used to reglaze the tub, they put too much of the acid to strip it before they put the spray on, and the acid went down the drains and melted all the ABS drains. And so when they went to have the bath after, the bath went into the basement. So that was an example of there was 3 inches of water everywhere. That was a bit of a pain. We had to cut all the drywall out and fix it all. I never make an insurance claim. I don't believe that it's worth the increase in premiums across my properties. So I just fixed it. It wasn't bad. I brought some fans over myself, hooked a dehumidifier up, and cut the drywall that was, the first 6 inches. It was mostly an unfinished room, thankfully, and the trim had to come off in the living room. And I have vinyl plank on all my floors, and vinyl plank is resistant to water, as you guys know. Doesn't hurt it at all. The vinyl plank clicks, so it's not like laminate where it gets destroyed. Other times I have had issues where I've had to uh, take effectively take out the carpets and dry everything on the lay new floor. In one situation, I had a basement leak from the outside when we had a big rain pour. It was actually just diverting the eaves troughs, getting the water away from the house was one of the biggest things. And I just built the grate up on the outside, so it was like it ran like that away from the house. So up against the house, I just built dirt, and all the water run away. And that actually did most of it. We did a little tar paint on it, but we fixed it relatively cheaply. In one situation, I had a lot of water coming in. I dug down and waterproofed the whole basement with the membrane all the way around, and then put in a new weeping system that was all tied in. So that was a big $30,000 job that we did. So I've done all types of fixes on properties, and I always buy smart enough that I have budget for those things to happen. And the worst case scenario is like your ROI goes from like what would have been 50 or 60% to like 30 or 40%. I've never had a project where my ROI was like even close to single digits. So I've never had an ROI that's like 9% or lower. So I've never actually lost money. I've only ever just made less than I had originally planned. And so that's great about real estate is if you buy smart, you'll be okay no matter what, fire or flood. I do have liability protection on my property, so if something major happened, like an actual house, like I'm talking a real flood that like ripped the house off the foundation, or maybe a fire that burned down and killed someone, I have liability coverage for that, and I'll pay the $5,000 deductible all day long, and that's what it's there for. That's the only time I use insurance. Is like the whole house is destroyed or it's a huge, huge claim. But I've been lucky this far. Any recommendations for a real estate agent in London? I hit about 5 banks this week, and all of them are willing to give me mortgages ready to go now. I'm an agent in London, but I'm not really looking to be anyone's client. So who do I know? I know a lot of agents that are pretty good. Send me an Instagram message, and I'll send you a few people that I think are decent. They'll take good care of you and help you find a place in London. So send me a message on that. Ellie, good to see you on. I guess how to mitigate those risks. William, I kind of missed that last part of your question. The best way to mitigate the risk with fire and flood, I think, is to effectively take precautions like making sure your eaves troughs are well moved, like they have extenders on them, and maybe even the Big O that takes it away from the house, just so water can't pool near your foundation and never get a basement leak. Basement leaks are 100% preventable. Like grading and getting the water away from the house are the most important things. Even if you had like cracks in your foundation, good grading will stop everything. Water just doesn't run uphill. So if you build hill up to your house, then you're pretty much protected. Window wells too are a big culprit. So put drains in your window wells. If you're too cheap to do the whole drain, what you can do is just a quick little tip or secret is just go and dig down your window well with a clam shovel. They call it a fence post digging shovel. It's basically like the shovel comes together and has 2 pieces to pick the dirt out easier. So you just go like that, pick the dirt out. Anyway, so you use one of those, dig down to as soon as you hit the gravel layer. So there'll always be a layer of gravel above your weeping system. If you just drop Big O with a perforated sock on it so dirt and silt doesn't get into it, and then put a cap on it, and then fill the whole back in with crushed stone all the way around, what you'll find, and then crushed stone at the top as well, and then grade your window well like this so that it goes to the Big O. You can do it in like 3-4 hours. It's really easy to do. You just dig a little hole and then put a piece of Big O with perforated. They come with a perforated sock on them. You buy them right from Home Depot, like $20. Put it in the ground in the window well. Tie the sock. Put the cap on it. The cap's like $3 on the 4-inch Big O, and then pour your gravel back in. If you ever have any water in your window well, it'll force it right down in the weeping system. It fixes 99% of problems. Like that's literally what I do, and I do grade, and basements don't leak. Very, very easy to deal with. Super quick little pro tip to do that. I wish I had more of a visual diagram to show that, but yeah, basically putting in window wells where they don't exist before. Some windows are too close to grade, and so water gets up into the window and comes in. So just putting a window well, super easy to do. You just dig around in the shape of the window well, stick it in, leave it like 3 to 6 inches above the grade, and then put the crushed stone in there with the Big O drain. Not a big deal at all. Next question. Follow up, how to handle knob and tube. Okay, so knob and tube. Knob and tube is this, people think it's this big scary thing. And I talked about it a little bit in last week's upload on my main channel, which was, at the end we looked at the fuse panel. And fuse panels are totally okay. They don't scare me the way they scare most people. You just replace the fuse if something goes. It's completely safe to have fuses or breakers, both fine. Knob and tube is not safe. There are ways to make it more safe, but it will never be safe. Aluminum wiring, so it goes like copper, grounded wire, copper ungrounded, I don't know, okay, copper grounded, aluminum grounded are like the in best order, and then knob and tube being like way down. Knob and tube is 2-wire, so you can have 2-wire stuff that's not grounded, and it's old and it basically is very frail. Problem with aluminum is that like eventually you could bend the wire enough that it'll break inside the line, cause fire. Also the connections, if they're not done properly with the no-lax and the right morettes, the no-lax paste basically stops oxidization between the copper and the aluminum, or if it's aluminum then too, it actually can help as well. So I'm not an electrician, but basically my expertise has been in, I'll get a $15 an hour, like I'll get an electrician to cut. So let's say you had knob and tube in your house, right? You've got lines running, along your basement or whatever. If it's accessible, it's really cheap to replace. If you can see the knob and tube, it's a lot cheaper to replace it. If you can't, you have to fish the wire alongside it, right? Sorry. So if it's accessible, it's much easier to replace. You literally would go into the panel. Usually what happens is people put a brand new panel on, they go copper, and then they have a junction box that's where it goes from copper, brand new wiring, to knob and tube again. So it's cheap. Like they basically make the panel look new. You think it's all copper wire, and then it goes to a J box or a junction box where it's connected back to knob and tube because they're too lazy to pull it out of the walls. You don't really need to pull it out of the walls at all. All you need to do is disconnect what is there. So you would basically fish a new wire all along where the knob and tube is up to the switch or the outlet. You pull it up through the wall. You might have to do one little hole. I usually do it where the baseboard is, because you take the baseboard off, do a hole, pull it up through the floor, and then put the baseboard back on. You don't have to patch the drywall. It's an easy way to do it. And then maybe I do a little hole above or below the light switch or the outlet, and then you pull it up through and then get a bigger plate cover. So there's no drywall work at all. It can be very, very cheap to do. You just pull new wire. I get a $15 an hour guy to fish my wire, a cheap labor to pull my wire, and then I get my electrician to inspect it and then do the connections. So do the connections on the outlets or switches or lights, and then back in the panel as well. So they're just running a wire. That's no work at all. The electrician can come in and make sure it was stapled properly if it needed to be stapled. But basically you can pull it along and then disconnect the knob and tube and pull out what you can see. What you can't see, it's disconnected now. So if there's just like a piece of like copper sitting in your wall, it doesn't matter, it does nothing. So you don't actually have to pull the knob and tube out. You have to make sure there are no live knob and tube lines. Knob and tube is dangerous, of course, because it's not grounded circuits, so people can get killed. So the way to tell a house is knob and tube really easy, likely, is you look at the electrical receptacles, and you'll see often there's just 2 prongs, right? So there's not a third grounded. You can tell it's an ungrounded circuit in almost all the situations that I've come across. That's a little telltale sign. You can go look in the basement too. I'll often just like take a screwdriver and take off the plate cover, and I can see the wire going into the box, so I can see if it's aluminum, whatever it is, in like 2 seconds. So that's a really easy tip to just find out if the house has knob and tube, or sometimes there's still knob and tube you can't see. They take most of it out and just like one line run to a light fixture, which again, like isn't the end of the world. I'm not really gonna lose sleep over it. One thing you can do to actually ground a knob and tube circuit that is actually passes code, I had an ESA inspector sign off on this, is on every single circuit I put on one of the plugs, I put on a GFCI protected basically outlet. So the ones that have the lights on them that have the test button and they're GFCI rated, those ones basically, if the line gets tripped in any way, it'll trip and shut the line off basically for you. The other thing you can do is at the panel you can get the all the breakers nowadays. Back when I was doing it, they didn't have these, but now all the breakers have arc faults built in that'll shut off if anything's arcing. So if you have arc fault breakers on, you're pretty safe no matter what. The power will shut off if something's tripped or whatever. So making sure every single circuit in a knob and tube house at least has a GFCI protected outlet on it. And then there are hacks people do that. This isn't a good hack, it's a bad hack, where people put 3-prong brand new Decora switches and plugs in, and then because the wires coming in are ungrounded, the old knob and tube stuff, they'll just unground that. It'll have a ground in the outlet, but it's not actually a grounded receptacle. So just be careful of that. Again, I'm not an electrician. This has just been like what I've figured out, having renovated like 60 houses. Okay. Follow up. How to handle number 2. We answered that. Then Andrew says, hello. Hello. Good to see you on. Mike, what do you think of the companies that claim to provide you the money to invest in real estate? So specifically, Alex, I'm not sure what the companies that provide you money to invest in real estate. So do you mean companies that are going to loan you money? Do you mean, give me more clarity on that, Alex, and I'll kind of answer that question for you. D's information, good to see you on. Evening, I think you moved into your new place recently. I'm thinking of leasing out my primary residence. I don't want to move all of the items I own. Do you hire movers to move your items? D's information further says, would you recommend just house hacking my primary residence or leasing the entire house out? Both could be profitable. If I house hack, I will not have to move my stuff out. So that's a really tough question to dive into without a lot of additional context, but I can give you my overall opinion. Yes, I moved into my new place earlier last year. So I haven't even been here a year yet. But this house is a 9-room, 5-bath house, and it has a lower apartment. The beautiful thing about that is I get to house hack. So I have basically a main floor master suite. My master suite's on the second floor. I have my own unit. So mine's firewalled, insulated, soundproofed on the floor and the wall. So I live in a 4-bed, 3-bath. I live on the main floor and the second floor. The back half of my house, there's basically like an office, a big boardroom, and then another office, my YouTube studio, and then a master bedroom suite with their own washroom, laundry. And that's where my business partner stays when he's not in Vancouver. And then in the lower, there's a 3-bedroom apartment, all with proper egress windows. So I've converted it so that I can get cash flow that pays for the mortgage and utilities and the property taxes. That allows me to live for free. The cost to me is my down payment into the property. So what could my money in the property, my equity in the property, be doing for me? Let's say $100,000 in equity or $200,000 in equity in this property. What could that be doing for me at 15% growth? Well, I'm losing, say, $20,000 a year in potential growth. That's the only real cost to me, and it's worth it because I get to live basically for free. So that's how I justify it. Rent hacking is obviously more profitable because you can get the same sort of living for free without having to tie up 100 or 200 grand of your own capital in equity in the property. So there are pros and cons. Rent hacking actually outperforms house hacking. I just have an emotional bias that says, hey, I like to own my property. I like to have full control. I never want a landlord to be able to tell me what to do. I like to be the boss. It's just who I am. I like that, being in control. And I grew up in a situation where we moved around a ton as a kid. I grew up you guys know I moved around like 20 times, went to a bunch of different schools. And so that instability, while you've noticed I've upsized like 5 times, I like to continue to move every so often. I like to be in control. I don't like a landlord kicking us out. So just psychologically, I can't handle it. Even though I know financially it's better for me to rent hack. I can go rent right now. I was looking at a 7-bedroom house around the corner. It's like a $700,000 house for $2,000 a month plus utilities. The numbers make no sense. If they had bought that house, not in cash, like with a proper mortgage, their mortgage would be double what the rent is. They're losing money, and it's fine. It's some dumb, rich, wealthy international person probably just wanting to cover some costs because they maybe put 50% down and that's what they need to cover their mortgage. So they just post it to rent for $2,000 a month. The upper end of this market in London, Ontario is broken. In Toronto too, same thing. So take advantage of rent hacking. That's my suggestion if you can, but it's for your own situation, what works for you. Maybe you don't want to move, like you said. I rally an army. So I rally all my friends and my connections. That's how I move. I've helped friends move and friends have helped me move. That's just I believe that's the better way to do it. If you have friends and family, engage them in a move and buy them pizza, and it costs you, pizza and beer, $100, right? You could just hire movers alternatively as well. I have hired a contractor to help me with their truck and trailer to move me. It's up to you. Maybe you move yourself to save money. It's the frugal thing to do, but then, how much pain you're going to be in, how much damage you're going to do to your body, and how much stress is it going to be trying to balance all of that moving and all of that. So it kind of depends on the house too. Maybe you live in a 3-bedroom house right now that doesn't lend itself well to house hacking. Maybe you live in a property that is ideal for house hacking. Not every house hacks well. I would say probably 60% of houses don't house hack. They need modification, major modification. Like this one did not house hack. I had to do major modification to make this into a house that would house hack. It was just not it would not have been desirable for me to share a kitchen with my other tenants, right? I liked having 2 kitchens in this house, so I had to make that, those modifications. I wouldn't want to have my bed to bath ratio be off. I might have to add baths. I may not have enough bedrooms or square footage in general. So it just depends on your situation. I'll need more context. But D's information, great question. This actually make a good little clip, I guess, on house hacking. How do you decide if house hacking is right for you? And is rent hacking better for you too? I've done videos on this, but maybe a clip like that could be good. So hopefully Alex answers that question with further context, because I'm not sure what the answer is about that. Companies that give you money to invest in real estate. Maybe we'll swing back to that question in a bit here. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, so yeah, D's information, good to see you. Great question there. You have to give me more context there about whether or not it makes sense to rent it out. You've got to kind of decide. One thing I like to use, one rule of thumb that I like to use is this property, for instance. If I was going to sell this property or keep it, I don't know what this house is worth. Maybe it's worth, I bought it for 410 or something after rebates, something like that. So if I bought it for 410 and it's worth 600 now, which is about what it's worth, that's how much value I've added in like a few months, just, by changing the design of the property. Now let's say it's 9 bed and it could rent for 600 a bed. So 9 times 6 is 5,400 a month. So if this house sells for 540,000 or less, it's a 1% rural property in Northwest London on a quiet cul-de-sac in a great neighborhood. Do I want to sell a property built in like 1989 that's well renovated and modern and nice, one that I know, it's a 1% rural in a great area? Probably not. I'd probably lease this property out. Now, if I was just going to rent this whole house to a family, I get a lot less rent than if I rented it to 2 families and kind of by the bedroom, right? Or students. So it depends on your plan of attack. What is your house worth right now? And so if your house is, say, worth $500,000 and you can rent it for $2,000 a month, it makes sense to sell your house. Specifically, the reason it might make sense to sell my house would be I can sell it tax-free. If I live here for a couple of years, your primary residence is tax-free. Your primary residence has no capital gains tax. That's huge in Canada. So if you make 200 grand, it's all tax-free. The minute you move out of it, you have to assess the value of the property, and any additional appreciation becomes taxable. Anything up until that point is tax-free, but it's nice to be able to when you move on, to sell the house, because there's an easy argument to the CRA. Hey, the whole time I lived here, it was never a rental. I always just lived here as my primary residence, tax-free. So that's nice to get that cash off the table if you're Canadian. In the United States, they have a similar program. It has a cap on it. Canada has no cap on the amount you can claim. So the reason I want to build a mansion, because I build it for $800,000 and sell it for $2 million down the road, make $1.2 million tax-free. It's one of the greatest tax-free vehicles besides the tax-free savings account, or TFSA, in Canada. So that's one reason to own a house and to live in it. I would say you're living in a house and then rent hack somewhere and rent the house out, but have your mail go to the house that's your primary residence. Every Canadian should have a primary residence for tax purposes. Anyway, basically to answer your question, I need more information. I wish I could just give you a yes or no, like, hey, this is D's information. You're a loyal follower. I know I'll see you in the comments. I know you'll share more, and we'll be able to get further clarification on it. But I think it depends really greatly on the situation that you're in. And sometimes you make a situation that doesn't make financial sense justified by emotional reasons, and that's okay, as long as you make good sense of why you're doing what you're doing, and it does make sense for your situation. For me, I try to optimize my financial situation as best that I possibly can, and so that's why I like to house hack the house I live in. Maybe it makes sense for you to house hack your house. Maybe your house is one of the 60% of houses that don't lend themselves out well to house hacking. Condos, for instance, typically don't. Small houses typically don't lend themselves out well. Properties that can't be duplexed sometimes don't lend themselves well to house hacking. Depends on the lifestyle you want. Maybe you don't want to live with roommates. Maybe you need a separate unit, in which case your property might not be duplexable. And you want to sell it, take some of the equity out of that tax-free and roll it into a new property that is house hackable. So it's okay to trade up. Like, you might say, hey, this house isn't quite perfect. But don't say, hey, I have to hold on to it because I've always held on to it. That's a bad mentality. I think it makes a lot more sense to say, okay, it's time to rebalance my real estate portfolio. This property isn't perfect for my uses. It isn't the best duplex. It isn't the best house hack. I should sell it and buy something that is. And so don't be afraid to do that, especially because the tax implications are very low. If it was your primary residence, there's almost no tax on the sale. And all those gains you get to capitalize on and realize. So that's a huge bonus. Hopefully that answered your question. Srey Vivo says, hi, Mike. All my investments are in real estate. I own 1 regular rental and 4 Airbnbs. Do you think it is wise to sell one property and use that money to fund a stock investment? So you own 1 regular rental and 4 Airbnbs. So do you mean you own 5 rental properties, or you are renting properties and re-renting them on Airbnb? So subletting the property on Airbnb. Kind of clarify on that. Sounds like you might own 5 rental properties. I'm going to make that assumption that you own 5. I don't know if you live in one of them. That would also play into the advice, whether you want to take advantage of that primary residence tax advantage with the basically tax-free capital gains sale on the property. If you're living in the property that you want to sell and it's a tax-free sale, that could be a no-brainer. You might want to just sell that and use that capital to invest in the stock. Do I think it makes sense to invest all of the equity in a property into one stock? No, that's bad financial advice. Diversification is so important. You reduce your overall risk without compromising on return when you diversify what you hold. So where I'd prefer you to own 5 properties at 20% down rather than 1 property 100% down, I would also like to see you split up a $10,000 investment into 10 stocks, $1,000 each, or buy into index funds like ETFs, exchange traded funds. ETFs are great because you basically put $1 into an ETF and it'll split it into 100 stocks that it owns in the fund. And the management expense ratios, the fees are very, very low. It's a great way to invest your money, I think, safely. So with a bit more context, okay, so you just followed up here in the live stream. You said, yes, I own 5 rentals. So you own 5 properties. The question is, are your levered returns, could you refinance the property, pull some money out, and then don't have to sell anything? That's the first thing is, if you have to make a sale, you don't want to pay the tax. If it's not your primary residence and it's a rental, then do you want to pay the tax associated with that? If it's just an Airbnb, you may be facing harmonized sales tax in Canada, HST, on the sale of the property. They treat Airbnb properties as commercial properties now if they earn more than $30,000 in revenue. So the CRA is treating them as commercial properties now, which means you lose 13% on the sale of it, which sucks because residential property is HST included, exempt. So that's something to kind of a distinction to think about. You might want to turn it back into a rental property before you sell it. Don't sell your Airbnb property for that tax reason. But again, I'm not a tax professional. Talk to your accountant about that. I'm an amateur, but I have a basic understanding, and these are some things to think about. I don't know the tax laws where you are, and I don't know if you're in Canada or where you are, but anyway, that's something to consider and think about. I would always say it's better to refinance. If you can pull the money at 3 or 4% and then invest that, that'd be a smarter way to do it, because then you get to keep the property, keep enjoying the cash flow, and just pull money out. So you've not lost any cash flow. You sell a property, you've lost the income from that property. And so then you have to say to yourself, is this stock going to outperform the rental income I would have got for the next year from this rental property, plus the appreciation that I would have got from this property, plus the mortgage paid out, etc. You have to weigh those out. In my opinion, there's no stock that exists that you can confidently buy with the same level of risk and get the same return as real estate. If that helps answer your question. I think the risk to reward ratio in real estate levered up, 20% down, is way better. Sorry, guys. It's cold killing me. Okay, so next question. Andrew says, my lawyer said that when you sell a property that you Airbnb, you'd have to pay HST and is now a commercial property. Do you know anything about that? So Andrew, I think I just answered. Oh, I did say it down here. Okay, so answered my question right there. Yeah, so my understanding is that over $30,000 in income, you have to start charging HST on all of your bookings. So you earn more than $30,000 if you're charging $100 a night, you're only getting 87 of it. You have to keep 13% for the government. That's my understanding of it. The way to get around that is basically you set up a corp, and the corp rents the property from you, and then the corp rents it on Airbnb. And so you as a person get a set amount of rent, totally safe. The property stays as a residential property. You're just renting it out to a company. That's totally fine. Or renting it out to a friend. The friend puts it on Airbnb. They basically write off the rent that they're paying to you, and then they get to claim all the rental income, and they just claim the difference as basically a side hustle. That's a way to boycott the whole thing. That's just one creative solution I just thought of right now. This is what I'm good at is thinking about like tax planning. I'm not a CA. Don't rely on everything I say, but that is one strategy that in theory should work. I've heard one accountant verify it, but that's only one accountant that has verified that. And every accountant has a different opinion. You might want to call the CRA on it and ask them their opinion on it as such. But yeah, setting up a corporation and then renting the house out to them, having them put it on Airbnb protects you a ton too from liability and ensures your property never becomes commercial in nature. If you can say hi to Emma. I missed that. Hi, Emma. Live. I guess Kyle said hi, Emma, for me, which was nice. Dee's information gave us some more context. So if we clip back to the original clip, here's some more context on that. Dee's says live, oh, okay, there's a kitchen. There's one kitchen, 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. I'll probably lease the entire house out. It was more so moving all my items I was trying to avoid. My mortgage is $970. I hear Emma. I hear her. Yeah, so I don't know the price of your house too. That's kind of something to consider. What could you rent the house out for? That's a good question. Well, if you were to lease this house out, Dees, what would you get in rent, do you think? And then what is the value of your house? And sort of compare the two. Like if you're renting it for $1,500 a month plus utilities and it's worth $500,000, I'd say sell. So give me those 2 information bits and I can probably get you an answer. Mortgage doesn't matter to me unless you're fully refinanced. Because I say pull the equity out, refinance 80% loan to value, and get that money working for you in more properties or in other investment vehicles. Because you can borrow at 3% against that asset. Why not do that? It's a great way to put that money that's sitting in the house, not doing anything for you, putting it to work at 8 or 10% growth at only a cost of 3%. Okay, so you're in CA. D's information about $1,600 to $1,800 a month by renting the entire house out. I have a friend that lives in his house, and just rents rooms out. It covers his mortgage and then some. So for me, I may just rent out the entire house. Yeah, it sort of depends on your personal preference. You could do the same as your friend and rent out rooms in the house. It sounds like a 3-bedroom house. Maybe there's a way to add a 4th room in the basement or something, and then rent that basement out, or live in the basement yourself and rent the other 3 rooms out. There may be options where you can make it work, and maybe you get $500 a bedroom. That's $1,500 a month. Your mortgage is $970. You're profiting $530 a month to put towards your property taxes and utilities, so you can live for free. Now that comes with a trade-off, a compromise. Everything is, unfortunately, a compromise. There is no all-around win because you have to live with those people now. So you have to screen those people and make sure you're living with the right people. If it's a duplex, if you can find a way to separate it in some way and get a second kitchen, then it's really nice because you don't even have to share the space with them. You're just renting out portions of your house you don't even use. You likely don't even use, if it's just yourself living there, you probably don't use your entire house. I know, like, if I didn't rent out my house, half my house would sit vacant. And I barely even use it, right? So that's important, I think, is good utilization of space. And how do you do that? So house hacking is one way to accomplish good utilization of space. D's information says, man, in Canada, they keep all the equity. That's amazing. Yeah, so I think in the U.S., it's very similar. Your primary residence, it also qualifies for capital gains tax exemption. Now, we don't have in Canada the 1031 exchange. Oh, I wish we did, because then I could just sell my rental properties and keep upsizing, right? As long as you roll the capital into another deal, you don't pay any tax. You don't pay the capital gains tax on the sale. In Canada, you pay on every single sale no matter what. So in Canada, there's no incentive. If you can refinance, there's no incentive to sell. Unfortunately, most of us can't go and refinance when the property's doubled in value. The banks say, no, we're not going to give you any more money, or whatever. For whatever reason, you can't refinance affordably. You won't be able to get a mortgage on it for 80% of the new value if you don't have a good day job, right? Especially us in the fire community, it gets very hard for us to refinance our properties. Future Wiz says, is it possible to run an Airbnb house remotely? Yes. Kyle took a stab at it, says, yes, you can with the right team in place. Mike can elaborate. Yeah, so I think it is possible to run an Airbnb remotely if you've got the right cleaning team in place and the right handyman team in place, and you've got those layers of resiliency and backup. So if you just have one cleaner you're relying on and they got sick, you'd be screwed. In fact, I think you should always have, with Airbnb, you should always have 2 cleaners. So the 1-2 punch. You want to have one cleaner who's the main and a second person. So 2 people always clean the property. If one person's sick, then there's at least one property they can bring a friend with them. And because the 2 always clean it together, they both know the routine. Both of them likely have a friend that's on backup. Then you always have a dedicated cleaner. You have one guy, something happens, they can't make it, they don't respond in time, whatever, you're screwed. You have a tag team, they're more likely to show up because they're a team. But if one of the persons in the team is not available, the other person has a backup they can bring in and get the job done. And then have a backup beyond that, because turnover is very important. You got to have really good cleaning turnover to run Airbnb successfully, I think. So the cleaning staff is one piece. You can get a bot now to respond to most of your, like, you can have automated responses and all that kind of stuff. I've seen people do it really efficiently with the bots. So that takes away most of the chat stuff. But you can also just, like, get a cheap, if you guys want to DM me, I have a connection for cheap Venezuelan workers, like $4 or $5 an hour, who will respond on Airbnb if you give them a flow chart of stuff to do. They can do it for $4 or $5 an hour. So there's nothing you have to even do. Just outsource it to a VA from Venezuela or something, or one of those like Philippines, and they'll take care of it all and run your Airbnb. You just got to set it up, take good pictures. The setup is where a lot of the value is, getting it staged really nicely, getting the good pictures, getting the reviews in the beginning. Once you get the reviews and you can get someone trained up to follow, you just got to manage them. I think having a handyman in place when things break, because Airbnb people break stuff, like they just jump on the couch and crack the leg, or they burn the countertop with a pot. They do dumb stuff like that. Thankfully, there's a good recourse system with Airbnb to get you the money back from the person, right? So you'll get the money back. It'll be okay. You can run your Airbnb. Totally possible to run your Airbnb remotely. It's better if you're in person there, because you can just, as a last layer of defense, you can drive over and make sure things are good. I think it would make sense if you're running Airbnb remotely. I'm actually looking at maybe, if I would never say this, but maybe buying a property in Toronto and Airbnb-ing it. Personally buying a property in Toronto, because I can still make a cash flow really, really well. There's some opportunities in Toronto. The market is really down in Toronto, and if it continues to be down like it is, we're seeing some real opportunities. And the model works anywhere. You can literally buy 80 cents on the dollar in any market, anywhere in the world, right? So it works in Vancouver and Toronto. It works everywhere. I'm going to prove that the model works in Toronto and probably buy something there, just to have a place that I can prove will cash flow in a place like Toronto. I know a friend who has a 13-bedroom, not a friend, I know of someone who knows someone in Toronto who has a 13-bedroom, and they're getting crazy cash flow in Toronto proper, near U of T. So if you have enough bedrooms in Toronto, you can get a good amount of rent, $800-900 a month per bedroom, or $1,000 a month per bedroom. You put nice flat screens on the wall. In places like Toronto, you can still get insane cash flow. I'm talking $1 million house renting for $10,000 a month, because you're doing it by the bedroom to students, or Airbnb-ing it. So there are ways to get cash flow in Toronto. Not as good, obviously, as cash flow in London, but it's a good buying opportunity. When a market is down, that's the time to buy. I don't know if Toronto's at the bottom right now, but it's definitely not at the high heat it was at 2 years ago. It's definitely come down quite a bit. Oh, excuse me. Andrew says, Mike, are you still driving the Ford Focus? Yes. I'm about to open my own construction and property management companies and considering buying a truck. Any reason why you kept the small car? I currently have a Civic and it's super tight for a family of 4, and I can't really move anything around. I keep renting a van from Home Depot, but it is such a pain. So Andrew, I'm curious where you live. If you're opening a property management business in London, let's talk, because I need to find someone who wants to get in this business, who wants to run property management, who has the experience in construction. Anyway, the way I do it is I don't move hardly anything anymore. I have employees with full trucks and trailers. I'm actually buying one of our employees a company truck, a company F-150. So a Ford F-150 truck with the topper. Got a really sweet deal on it for $3,500. I think it's a pretty good deal for 2008 or 2009. I think it's 2008. But yeah, just find a good deal on something, and if you need the vehicle. Up until now, all of my contractors have trucks, have trailers, have vehicles. So I make them do all of the dump run stuff. My time is so valuable, I could go make $1,000 an hour closing deals, or I could just go talk to people who reach out to me on YouTube and talk to them for $150 an hour. If I want to make good use of my time, it makes no sense for me to do it myself. So I just don't do any of the construction anymore. I did have an SUV for a little while. For about a year we had one. We were convinced when my daughter was born that our family would never be able to handle being in a car. We were wrong. We actually converted back to the Ford Focus because the gas bills were too much, and I wasn't using the SUV near as much as I thought that I was. It was a 2011 Hyundai Santa Fe. Nice ride. It was great for traveling and for carrying stuff. I got a whole 2x4s in there. I loaded it full of renovation stuff, and it was great for that. But again, my time. Is it worth my time to go to Lowe's and go to Rona and grab the stuff and go to Home Depot and bring it to the sites? It's not good use of my time. I can get someone for $20 an hour to do that task. So it's just not worth it. That's why I don't. On this topic, though, talking about cars, I am so strongly conflicted right now, and I just want to share this, get it off my chest. I might be selling my 2009 gold Ford Focus. It's my money car. It's my gold brick. It only has 100,000 kilometers on it. So that's like 50,000 miles. In great shape. Like, I love this vehicle. Super fuel efficient. I got 700 kilometers on a $40 tank of gas. So it goes really far. Gonna miss it because I have the mentees staying with me. You guys know I have 5 mentees in the mentee program. I want to do a video just on that. Maybe I should. Maybe after this question, I'll do a video. We'll just shoot it live right now about the mentee program, and I'll share it on my channel because I think there's huge opportunity here. No one in Canada was doing it. I was the first. There are people who are following suit, and there will be more people to do this. But mentorship as an official, like apprenticeship type program in Canada for real estate entrepreneurship doesn't exist. And I think I'm the first to do it. I started doing it last year. I think I was the first to do it in 2018. It just didn't exist in the way that I do it, where it's completely free. And I create a win-win scenario. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But talking about cars, my wife and all of our family is pushing us to get a van. And I can try to justify it by, hey, I could use it for the business, use it for the construction and the management. I could lend it to my employees who need to use it, my contractors, etc. But it's getting very tight. My Ford Focus with 2 proper car seats, there's like this much space. Even I'm like a pretty thin guy, even I can't get in between the 2 seats. So if myself and my wife are sitting in the car, without them like kicking the seat, we have to put our seats forward enough, then my wife's knees literally hit up against the dash. And so it's not very comfortable. Unfortunately, it's not very comfortable for, if we had a mid-size, like a Honda Accord or something, we'd be much better off than the Focus, right? The Focus is really small. So I don't mind. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm totally fine. I have enough room, even with my seat forward. My feet don't touch the steering wheel, so I'm okay when I'm driving. But it's getting to a point where with 2 car seats in the back now, my second child, my daughter's gonna be born in like 2-3 weeks now, and having a family of 4, if I want to bring even my brother somewhere, or like go pick up a friend, or even my mentees and I want to go out somewhere or travel back to my cottage, we have to take 2 vehicles. That's not efficient. And so for that reason alone, I'm almost justifying buying a van. And it would be an older van. So if anyone knows of any deals on like a Honda Odyssey, I like Chrysler. My first car was a Chrysler Neon, so I'd be down for a Chrysler minivan. I said I would never get a van, but I'm probably gonna have to do it. Just gotta find an efficient one and make good use of my trips. Thankfully, there are people in my household that have cars that are more efficient, so maybe I'll go 2-car family. Probably not. I'll probably just go to 1-car family, and I'll probably sell my car into our company or something, so we have a car for running around. Most of the property management stuff I do, I've fit toilets in my Ford Focus. I've fit full 8-foot or 2x4s in my Ford Focus. So I've got everything in that car. When it was like just me going around to the properties, it still serves most of my purposes. I carry like 30 gallons of paint. That's 6 5-gallon pails, no problem. And if you're trying to whip around to sites back and forth, the car is like twice as efficient on gas. So something to think about. I don't think you necessarily need to have one. Just get an employee or get a contractor you work with that has one, and then rely on them for those certain things. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay. Remind me at the end to do a mentee video. Not a promo video, but like maybe we should do a promo video.
We could definitely do
But I'll shoot something about the mentee program for like the 10,000 subs. Hey, we're over 10,000 subs. I didn't do a celebration. Guys, we're over 10,000 subs. I'm going to do a celebration on the main channel. We're like 10,000 and like 30 subs. Gabe Bolt came from the United States down to Canada, and we did like an hour-and-a-half long video. Unfortunately, the video that I did on my channel has really bad audio, so I don't know how I'm going to salvage that, but I might put it on this channel. Yeah, I'm going to put it on this channel. And we talked about house hacking and like his stuff, and anyway, I love his video content. Check him out. Check the video out. It's like 55,000 views and climbing in like 4 days. That boosted me like 700 subs. So that was great because now everyone's like, who is this Mike Rosehart guy this interview is all about? Now 55,000 new eyeballs have found the fire movement or found me, and so that's cool. That was the reason I got into YouTube, was to do this, to spread the fire word, to spread the message, right? And so that's a huge win. Now over 10,000 subs. Let's go for 100,000. We're going to draw at random tonight. Follow on Instagram at Mike Rosehart. We're going to draw at random from one of the videos. It could even be like someone that's already like Kyle or Jonas. Everyone is included. All of my mentees, everyone is included in this draw. There are no exceptions. Except for myself, obviously. I can't choose myself. But I'm going to choose at random, one random video. And on that random video, I'm going to choose one random comment. Could be a reply, could be a main comment. You still have a chance to enter because I haven't drawn anything yet. And that person gets coaching with me or gets to spend the day with me here in London. So there you go. That's the win. I promised that. We get to 10,000 subs that I would do that. And we're there. And we're going to do it again when I get to 25,000 subs. So keep commenting on the videos. Like the video right away. In the first 10 seconds, you got to like that video. Really important to the algorithm's success. And then just jump in the comments, and you have a chance to win again as well. So That'd be exciting. I need like a software or something to randomize it. Or maybe I'll just go like this and I'll just pick something. I don't want to complicate it. I'll just pick a video and pick something. I have nothing in mind. I'll just go through my channel and pick a video. Maybe it'll be an old one.
William Burkhead says, how about draw at the end of the show live?
Yeah, could do that. Could do that. I think I know exactly where I'm going to stop in my scroll. And I've now decided exactly where I'm going to stop on the scroll of the comments. It might be the newest comment, might be the oldest comment. Maybe I'm just going to stop in the middle. You don't know, and I'm going to change it up next time, so you're not going to have any edge. Unless you comment a million times, then you have an edge. The more times you comment, the more chances you have to win. Okay, so Andrew says, yes, you can write off the car for business. So D's information says, in Canada, can you write off your taxes, your car, if you're using it for business purposes? Yes. Can you track your miles? Yeah, you have to track your miles. You do have to track your miles. Yeah, I didn't write off my car this year. I should have. I forgot to do that. But it's hard against rental properties. On my business, I'll do it probably. Like on my company side, when we file in our year ends like July, I use my car for like at least 50% business, probably more. So yeah, I'll write off most of the gas and the oil changes and stuff like that. Bought the car in cash, so no financing to write off. But you can write off interest costs on the vehicle as well. When you say 80 cents on the dollar, is that after rehab? Tiger, oftentimes that's before rehab. You can buy 60 cents on the dollar before rehab as well. 60 to 80 cents on the dollar, right? Now I'm hoping the rehab costs like 10 to 20 cents. So you end up, if you're buying 80 cents on the dollar, your rehab better not cost more than 10 cents on the dollar. So you have at least 10% margin. So if you bought for 900, it's gotta be at least worth 1.1. So you've got the margin to have about 100,000 in profit, at least 10% minimum. I don't want to pay up market value. You definitely got to make money for your effort. And Kyle's got a great point there. We were talking about Airbnb before, about how to run your Airbnb with a co-host. So that's a pro tip as well. If you want to not just have a VA, you can do it that way.
I feel like that would work better if you had multiple Airbnbs.
Yeah. I guess you'd make the VA the co-host anyway.
Yeah.
Probably. But yeah, that's one way to do it too. And maybe profit share with them.
Basically be a property manager within the Airbnb.
And there are tons of property management companies who will literally run Airbnb for you. You don't have to do a thing. So that's one way to do it remotely too. It's super, super easy. So Snake Eyes 11, good to see you on as well. If my ROI after tax is 25%, before tax is 25%, after tax is 15%, this makes real estate way less attractive. I'd be speculating on appreciation to make it over the stock market. Am I missing something here? So the average stock market investor over a 25-year period should expect 7% return pre-tax. Pre-tax, 7%, 7 to 8%. So if you're looking at 7 to 8%, now levered real estate is about 25% pre-tax as well, but you get a lot more write-offs. So if you're getting a lot more write-offs, like you can write your car off, for instance, your gas off to drive to the properties. You can write off, this is one hack. I give my tenants gift cards at Christmas. Maybe if you're buying a gift card and you buy a $100 gift card, you give your tenant 50, you use 50 for your own groceries. You wrote off that whole $100 gift card. I know a lot of people that run a lot of the rental properties at almost no profit. So most people I know run their rental properties at near no profit. It's very easy to get write-offs to work in your favor to have no profit. It's hard to do with stocks. You can't say, hey, I bought a $1,000 gift card for my stock. There's just nothing there. But you can say, hey, I bought a $100 gift card at Christmas and birthday for my tenant. One of my tenants moved in. I bought them a $500 gift card as a move-in bonus. Very common. You just take that gift card and buy your own groceries with it. You could effectively write your groceries off against your property. That's like not legal, what I just said there, but I'm just saying that's what people do. There are tons of examples of write-offs you can use to get your taxes way down. So people think real estate maybe has a higher tax burden. It actually it's the best way to earn an income because of the tax advantages associated with real estate. So in my opinion, it's taxed better than stocks. Stocks in an open account are also taxed, right? If you sell a stock you bought for $1,000, you sell it for $2,000, you get $1,000 profit, right? That profit is going to be half inclusion capital gains tax, the same as if you sold real estate. So they're taxed in a very similar way. I don't know anyone except for Warren Buffett or like Ben Graham, who have consistently beat the market for a long period of time. Like all those traders you watch on YouTube, all of them, in 25 years, they will not beat the market. Like over a 25 or 50 year period, they will get S&P 500 returns. We have the strongest bull market in the last 12 years ever. So just factor that in, right? I hear ya. I'm coming out soon, Emma. I gotta wrap up, guys. Daughter wants me to come do bath time. I hear ya. Coming. Okay, so yeah, so Snake Eyes 11, there's 3 ways to make money in real estate. This would be a good little clip too to kind of answer your question about why real estate is so attractive. Because I think that's what you're trying to get at. Why is it attractive or why is it not attractive? I think real estate is so attractive because of 4 things. The first thing, overarching, is leverage. You can borrow the cheapest you can borrow anywhere. You can borrow against real estate for the cheapest cost of debt of any other asset class. And you can borrow 80% loan to value, in some places 95% loan to value with like the FHA loans or the CMHC in Canada, where you can buy 5% down or I think you're 3.5% down. You cannot buy stock 3.5% down. You can't buy shares in Apple 3.5% down. You can't buy businesses 3.5% down or 5% down or even 20% down. You almost always have to put a higher percentage down. So because you use the bank's money at a really cheap interest rate, you can get great returns out of real estate. Real estate in general doesn't necessarily, it actually does outperform. If you watch my video on how asset classes performed over the last 20 years, real estate actually did perform as one of the top asset classes. And that's just including appreciation. That was not talking about rental income. A lot of people buy just for appreciation plays, right? Now there's 3 ways to make money in real estate, and I think you need to make all 3 for it to be really, really attractive. The first way to make money is cash flow. You need to be buying property that cash flows well. And when I say well, I look for little rules of thumb like the 1% rule is the basic one that I use. If a property is worth $500,000, you're buying it for $500,000, you need $5,000 a month in rent to make it worthwhile. That's one little hack that people have used to determine whether it will cash flow. 1% rule properties, residential properties, they cash flow. So 1% rule is a great place to start for cash flow. First way is cash flow. I look for 25% return on my money just from cash flow. Now that's only one stream of income from real estate. The second I look for is retail arbitrage. Retail arbitrage is the idea that you can buy real estate for under retail price. You can arbitrage the price. It's retail arbitrage. So you buy property and then you add value to it. You buy it for less than it's worth in the open market. So you buy it for 70 cents on the dollar. You buy a $200,000 house for $150,000. Very common, do it all the time. Like just recently I bought a $240,000 house for $160,000. Very, very common, happens all the time. So you buy these properties, you fix them up, you value add, you put in renovations, you change the layout in some way to add value, and then you rent it out and you get cash flow, you can refinance the property. The sweet thing about retail arbitrage is if you're putting 20% down and you're making 20% margin on the property, you're almost always doubling your down payment. So you can get 100% return on your money in year 1, just from retail arbitrage. A lot of people use that strategy alone. I like the 1-2 punch. Cash flow first, retail arbitrage second, and then the third thing is like a kick to the face, which is sort of a bonus, right? And remember, your retail arbitrage is 5-to-1 because you're buying 20% down. When you buy 20% down and the bank puts up 80% of it, every dollar you put into real estate buys you $5 in real estate. So your down payment, right, buys you $5 in real estate. So $100,000 in stocks buys you $100,000 in stock. You can use margin trading to maybe put $100,000 up and buy $200,000 in stock, right? I used to be a trader, so I used to do all of that as well. I actually day traded 3-to-1. I had to borrow at 8%, 7.5%, 6.5%, 8%. You're paying a really high interest rate. So your cost of debt, it's eating into your profit. With real estate, you can borrow way more, 5-to-1. And you're borrowing at 3% cost of debt. So it's eating in way less of your profit. That's huge, guys, at the end of the day. I think I'm gonna put this up actually. This is gonna be part of the clip for next Wednesday on the main channel because it's just so powerful. That's why I love real estate so much and I'll give you the final kick now to the head. So you've got your cash flow, which you should look for 25% return on your money. And there are no dividends out there for any reasonably equally risky stocks or companies out there that pay 25% dividend a year for the level of risk you're getting with real estate. You're buying, if you're buying real estate in a developed nation like Canada, the United States, Europe, a lot of places where it's safe to buy real estate, if you're buying real estate like I am in Canada, where it's relatively safe, and I'm able to get 25% return on my investment just from cash flow, plus I double my down payment, so I get 125% return my first year, plus because 5-to-1, remember. So if I get retail arbitrage and let's say my asset, my real estate asset, goes up 10% in value, right? It's worth 10% more. I'm 5-to-1 levered. So 10% on the whole asset gives me a 40 or 50% return on my down payment. 20% return levered 5-to-1 gives me a 100% return on my down payment. Let's look at an example. You have a $200,000 house. You buy it for $200,000. It becomes worth $300,000, right? Because of retail arbitrage. You bought it for a deal from off market or whatever. You had to add some value, change the tenants out, whatever you had to do, evict the tenants. Maybe you had to renovate it. There's a whole bunch of things you might have had to do to get that value unlocked. Maybe you had to do nothing. I bought one property as a great example on my Instagram stories last week. You guys check that out at Mike Rosehart. I think I even saved the story under deals. We bought a property for $200,000 privately from someone. We did nothing to it. It reappraised at $320,000. The mortgage on it is now going to be 80% of the new value. So we did nothing to it. On closing, we're putting a mortgage on it for $256,000. So $56,000 more than the purchase price. We are negative $56,000 in. The ROI on negative $56,000 is infinite. The infinite sign. Your ROI is unlimited. You're getting $1,000 a month cash flow and $56,000 at the start, plus you have equity still in the property. That's the power of real estate. You can't do that in the stock market because you can't leverage in the same way. The reason it's safer is because you're buying basically blue chip. Like I look at real estate as like a safe blue chip. And if it cash flows, you don't care about the price anyway. So the final kick is appreciation. You guys probably you probably already knew that. But basically cash flow, retail arbitrage, and appreciation. If the market appreciates at 3.5% a year, which is what it's been doing, 3.5% to 5% for the last forever, that's just how real estate's moved. Some years down, some years up, but averaging that amount. I hear you. I hear you after the first knock. Coming. So if real estate's moving up at 3% a year, and you have 20% down in the property, that 3% of appreciation gives you 15% return on your down payment. Because remember, 3% on $200,000 is what? $6,000. What's your down payment? Your down payment on $200,000 is $40,000. So when it appreciates 3%, you make $6,000 on your $40,000 down payment. That's a great return on your money, right? Yeah, that's the beauty. Real estate is so attractive because leverage. If you're buying properties 100% in cash, or basically no leverage at all, the return on your investment should be like 7, 8, 9, 10%. Same as stocks. Like they're almost the same. There is no advantage beyond the tax write-offs that you get with real estate. Yeah, that's the spiel about why real estate is so attractive and why I can't get my hands out of it because it's just so hard. Like deals keep falling in my lap. We just had a deal fall in my lap. There's a house listed down the street for $500,000, $499,000, and a private deal they're being foreclosed on, and they just needed cash to get out, and they don't want the lender to foreclose on their house. $305,000 plus the wholesale fee. $305,000. We were playing good cop. This is before I became a realtor, but we were playing good cop, bad cop, and me and the wholesaler beat them up and got it down to $305,000. And they were happy. They were walking away. They still had some money in their pocket. But $305,000. We have to renovate this property and fix it up. But when those keep falling in my lap, where I can it's an opportunity to just triple my down payment. Like when someone comes to you and says, hey, I have a 200% return on investment opportunity. If the market remains flat, if nothing happens out of your control, you make 200% return on investment. There is no stock like that. You have to bet on management to perform. You got to take gambles and risks. With penny stocks, you're taking risk. With dollar stocks, you're taking risk. You're speculating. I don't buy property and say, hey, London's going to appreciate 10%. I'm going to make a bunch of money. That's not why I ever buy property. People buy stock because they think, hey, this stock is going to go up in value because of X or Y reason. They're gambling. I'm talking about sure things. I can't screw it up. Even if I screw everything up, I still make money. I just don't know how you lose money in real estate. I don't know. The kind of deals I'm buying, it's impossible to lose money. And so when the bar is set at never lose money ever, impossible, and stock investing, I can lose money so easily, it's a no-brainer for me. And I used to be a day trader. Like I still have a stock portfolio. I still trade just to have the diversity aspect. But man, real estate is so attractive. And being from the FIRE movement, I'm all about just mastering the equation to building wealth, right? Like I just want to spend as little as I can, earn as much as I can, and then maximize the return on my investment. Real estate provides the best way to do that for the lowest amount of risk. I don't like taking a lot of risk. And buying stock where I'm not in control of management, I'm not in control of any operations, I just have to guess. Now I can do an educated guess, but I'm guessing. If I'm technical trading, right, I'm trying to trade on trend analysis. That's all, people try to create algorithms that can beat the market. Tell you what, those all break. Every one of those patterns, those trend analysis, historical analysis, trading platform algorithms you hear about, they all break. You know why? Because people trade on psychological bias. They trade on emotion. It is impossible to predict market sentiment going into the future in real estate and stocks, in anything. But you can do it. For instance, like if you could insider trade in the stock market and that was legal, like if someone could call me and say, hey, Mike, I get you Apple shares at 70 cents on the dollar. What do you think? I'd be like, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's go get a mortgage and we'll buy every dollar I put up gets me $5 in Apple shares and I'll sell them back in the open market tomorrow because I don't care what happens to the price. I know tomorrow I can sell it for X. I'd be all over that. That is what I'm doing in real estate. I can't do that in the stock market. And so if you can develop the skills that I have, which there are thousands of people out there who develop the same skills I have, making tons of money in real estate, if you can develop that small edge, then you make a ton of money in real estate because of leverage. That same edge in the stock market without leverage isn't as powerful. That's what it is. Most of the guys that trade stock, most of them either acquire a ton of capital because they're making small margins better than the market. They're beating the market by 1 or 2%. And so they need millions and millions. They need to have big hedge funds to make any money on the amount they are better than the market. But the guys who don't have a lot of money, like the guys you just see those YouTube channels who are just buying and selling stock, they've been in the best bull market in history, for one. Just wait. Watch them over a 25-year period, not a 5-year period. But watch that, right, over a long period of time. And watch how they don't beat the market for a long period of time. Most of those guys make money from YouTube, make money from selling you courses. I'm selling you nothing. I'm completely unbiased. I have a stock portfolio and a real estate portfolio. What I can tell you is if the real estate market crashes tomorrow and the stock market crashes tomorrow, I'm screwed on my stock market. I got stop losses set, so my stock will sell, but I'll mitigate my losses. But I stand to lose in the stock market portfolio. My real estate portfolio is just fine because I'm making cash flow $1,000 to $2,000 a month per property. I don't care if the price falls 50%. Rents, Graham Stephan posted a great post on his Instagram about rents over time. Go look at rents over time. You know what the chart looks like? This. There has never been a down year for rent. Ever. Ever in my market. Never. We've had 2% increases, 1% increases, 5%. Market's jumping. Rent remains stable. In recessions, people need a place to live. The only way rents go way down is if there's a huge vacancy and then landlords drop them because they can't rent them. But good marketers, good managers who know how to market their properties well with good pictures, good photography, they still rent their properties out, even at 10% vacancy rate, because they have a good product people want, a good place people want to live. That's my spiel. Now we're going to rapid fire because I'm super late. Tiger Rocks, I'm going to do the Menti video another time. I'm out of time. At least keeps banging on this door. I hear you. Coming. I got to do story time for my daughter here. So, I recently got my real estate license because Mike Rosehart mentioned he got his real estate license. Of course. I wanted to buy a newer car for the real estate sales side. Yeah, I've been debating that myself. I just can't justify it, but maybe at some point. Do you buy cars under an LLC for the business or under your name? Do you get a tax write-off? So as a real estate agent, you're probably working as a sole proprietor. We just in Canada are now being able to incorporate our real estate agent practices, but for a long time, it's just been a personal thing, and so you just deduct it off you run it like a sole proprietor, so you just own the car personally and write it off personally against your real estate income. So you don't need to own it in a corp necessarily. Andrew says same situation as I had the cars. Okay, I'm going to catch up here. Seems as though cheaper the home is, the more likely and easier it is to be 1% rule. Do you agree? Yes. Interesting fact. Did you know that, for those people who are still watching, if anyone's still watching, did you know that the reason houses in the north and the west, specifically the west, are more valuable than houses in the east in almost every city in North America is because when they were building cities, wind blows west to east. they put all of the factories in the east, in almost every city, because they wanted the pollution to blow out of the city, not through the city. And factories are dirty places. Wealthy people don't want to live near factories. And the blue collar people want to live close to where they work. So the lower paid people who worked in the factories, who are blue collar, they built cheaper houses, didn't last. That's why in the east of London, the east of probably Toronto, the east of every city, it's just crappier. Random fact. Did not know that. A friend of mine in geography explained to me how wind currents work and go from west to east. And I'm like, so that's why all the houses in the west of every single city are nice? And he's like, yes, because there's no factories and all shit rolls downhill. The wind blows it from west to east. So you want to live somewhere, live west. Random fact, I actually happen to live west. We both happen to live west. That's good for us. If you live east, I'm sorry. I mean, factories are not a big thing anymore, so you're probably fine. Like, east is good. I own a lot of properties in the east. Yes, more derelict buildings, Snake Eyes 11, do tend, like the rougher the building, the better the cap rate, which therefore means better, closer it is to 1% rule. So you got to factor that in. I would prefer a 0.9% rule in a really good area over a 1.2% rule with D-class tenants in a bad area all day long. So I make that qualitative judgment as well. It's not just about the 1% rule. That's just a rule of thumb, right? Okay. Congrats on 10K subs. Thanks. Congrats on 10K subs. Thanks. I think I was a sub before you had 100. I was around from when Matt had under 500 made a video with you. That's amazing. Andrew, that's awesome. You've been a loyal follower. Maybe you deserve to be chosen at random. I can't do that. That'd be unbiased. I really have to go. I gotta go super, super fast. Hope the cold gets better. Gabe Bolt's on here. It says, woo, race to 100K. If me and Gabe race into 100K, all right, deal. We should do a video against each other and see who can get to 100K subs faster. You're gonna beat me, but I'm gonna try because I like competition. Your videos are just so much better. Kyle, we've got to up our game to like next level. Like, we're gonna do it. Are we gonna accept that challenge live?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
We're accepting that challenge, Gabe. And we're 2 people, and you're just 1.
100%.
So bring it on.
We're gonna do it.
He's already ahead of us, so I think he's like already 600 subs ahead. So we're gonna drop massive value in our next video, and it's gonna go viral.
I have to get better at editing, and you have to get funnier.
I have to get funnier, more entertaining. We need to like that paper thing. Drop the like. I'm just gonna crib all. For it's a competition, I mean, I'm just gonna crib everything that works.
Sure.
Be prepared for that, Gabe. If you're still watching. Okay, you can buy 0 down Nova Scotia if you make less than 65K a year. That's an amazing program. That's awesome. Yeah, so there are programs in Canada and certain provinces that are hurting economically where they'll provide you stimulus to buy property. Another hack. Get an RRSP loan that gives you to put into your RRSP and then use that money as your first home program and then another 0 down. Yeah, I've heard of that hack. I know that hack exists. 20 minutes ago, William was like, Mike, bath time. And he's right. Now I'm super in trouble. Snake has 11. I factor in all the tax deductions, 80% loan to value. Yes, it's 50% return cash flow. After factoring your time, the return is much lower. So you need value arbitrage and appreciation for real estate to be worth it. Am I wrong? No, you're right. I think you just need to go for, yeah, exactly. Retail arbitrage and forced appreciation. Can you tell Elise that I know? I know. Toyota Prius V. I don't know what a Toyota Prius V is. Someone look that up. Does that mean it has like an extra row of seating maybe? If you buy turnkey, then yes, the returns are not super high. If you buy cash, you have 5 to 6% lower than stock market. Yeah, exactly. Very true. Leverage is what makes real estate attractive. Mike, what about starting the show ending 30 minutes earlier for better bathroom? Yes, I should start at 7. I was late today, unfortunately. Chevy Volt might be a good one. That's probably an electric car, it sounds like. True East Montreal is factories. Andrew, yeah, thanks. It's very important that you need the forced appreciation and appreciation for real estate to have good returns. Gabe says deal. So it's on live. Race to 100,000 subscribers. Okay. Do you need an established player to get a wholesale deals? It is easier if you're an established player. I have a lot easier time talking to wholesalers and getting the deal over someone else because they know I have the network to close. People look for the easiest path of least resistance. So I think continue to follow up with a lot of agents in town. Get those private deals that they are locking up. Talk to wholesalers in the market. Become one yourself. Learn how to cultivate your own deals. I didn't even know what wholesaling was until like a year ago. I bought like 10 deals off Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. Kijiji specifically was a great one that I used to buy deals off market. I really got to go now. My daughter's waiting for me to do bedtime. So thank you all for watching. As always, the secret to unlocking wealth for you is to spend less, earn more, and maximize those returns. And I please ask you one favor is that when videos drop Saturday, hit the like button right away and let the video watch all the way through. That would mean a lot, and drop a comment. Bye. I'll see you next Wednesday, where some of these are going to play on my main channel. Mentee video. We gotta remember to do that at some point. Oops. Did I end the stream? Ooh, I didn't end the stream.